Jumia stock analysis. What's going on, YouTube family? That's the stock I'm going to be talking about in this video here today. I've actually seen a lot of people talking about this stock. I've seen it run a lot as of late. A lot of people are saying it's the Amazon of Africa, more or less. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to put in my 2 cents. We're going to go over the things we normally go in these stock analysis videos. We're going to go over what the company is, the basic business model, those type of things. Then once we get towards the end of the video, the second half of the video, we're going to talk about some of the things I like about this company, where I can see this company going, things that this company is doing well, and also some of the risks that might come with this company. But also remember, always do your own research, because I'm just a random guy talking to a camera in my living room. I don't really know much. I'm really not that bright. All I know is that Des caught it.
At the Green Bay 32 with under 5 minutes in the game. Blitz is coming. He throws a deep ball to the left side, and the ball is Bryant. Caught the ball. I do not know how Des Bryant accomplished that physical feat.
So make sure you're doing your own research, absolutely. And if you do get any sort of value out of this video, if it really does help you in any way, if it does help you make an investment decision by any means, please drop a like on the video. That really does help out the channel. It really helps the channel grow in a massive way. Also, let me know what stock analysis videos you want to see next, what stocks you want to see me look into, what industries you want to see me research, and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well so you don't miss any of these videos. Anyway, like I just said, Jumia is often referred to as the Amazon of Africa, for lack of a better term, lack of a better comparison. This stock's around $40 at the time of me filming this. About a $3.4 billion market cap on this company currently. This stock really has run a lot as of late. If you look at the chart, back in September of 2020, this stock was under $8. Under $8. It's almost $40 now. And if you look back to March, this stock was under $3. It was $2 and change. My God, if you got into this stock then, you made a killing, that's for sure. So if you couldn't guess why this stock's referred to as the Amazon of Africa, it's an e-commerce platform. This stock was founded in June of 2012. They're currently in 11 countries, 3 different regions, and they make up about 70% of Africa. They attack about 70% of the African market. The mission that this company is really trying to set out and attack is to improve the quality of everyday life in Africa by leveraging technology to deliver innovative, convenient, and affordable online services to customers while helping businesses grow as they use our platform to reach and service customers. This is in fact the leading African e-commerce platform, and their platform does consist of 3 major sectors. There's the marketplace sector, which they're really trying to focus that more towards third-party sales as opposed to in the past it was first-party sales. And then there's their logistics services, which basically enables shipment and delivery of packages from their sellers to their customers. And in other words, and this is going to make more sense later in the video once we start talking about these different sectors and the different components of the company. But say someone in Africa doesn't live in like the best area per se, and they don't want to give out their address, they don't want someone coming to their house for whatever their reason may be, they can actually schedule to meet someone at a certain location, and then the logistics service is going to set that up so they can meet someone, get their package, pay for it, and then just go home. Then they also have their payment service, which obviously facilitates different transactions among customers when they can. And this sector is actually growing pretty rapidly, and it's not monetized yet, believe it or not. Part of the reason it's not monetized yet is mainly because a lot of their customers actually pay in cash, which again, we're going to talk about that later in the video. But this service is actually called Jumia. It's only available in 6 of their markets, which include Nigeria, Egypt, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Morocco, and Kenya. And believe it or not, this app actually has pretty solid reviews. I went to a bunch of different websites, I searched a bunch of different search engines, and they all seemed pretty solid. They all seemed to be in the 4 or 5 star range. So it was something I was actually pretty satisfied with, as I guess from an investor perspective. I'll read a couple of the reviews to you guys really quickly. This app is superb. I applied a couple of minutes ago as a first timer, and the loan amount I applied for is already in my account in seconds. No collateral, no documentation or whatever. Just an NGN 5 charge to bind my card, that's all. God bless the developers of this app. After going through so many apps with very frustrating conditions attached to the loan application, I finally discovered a very reliable app with affordable interest rate and payment, period. App is highly recommended. Since well over 2 years now that I installed and had been using Jumia, formerly Jumia One, the experience had been nothing but sweet and rewarding. I pay my electricity bills, TV subscriptions, and buy airtime with ease. There has been no regrets ever since, and I'm sure there won't be in the future. Jumia is indeed #1 with prompt transaction execution and instant money back in your wallet if transaction was not executed. The company offers products on their platform such as fashion apparel, smartphones, home and living, consumer packaged goods, and beauty and perfumes, as well as electronics. They also have different services like food delivery, and you can book vacations and stuff through them, but that's something we really aren't going to go into in too much detail in this video. They also launched Jumia Games in their most previous quarter. They launched it in 5 countries, and they have over 500 plus games. And as for the most recent quarter, we will touch upon that really quickly. It's going to be a little difficult because these numbers are in euro, because obviously this is not an American company. So bear with me as much as you can, but you'll get the gist of it. So GMV was 187.3 euro, which was actually down 28% year over year. Their gross profit increased 22% year over year to 23.2 million euro. Their operating losses were at a 3-year low, believe it or not, of 28 million euro. Their adjusted EBITDA loss in the third quarter decreased by, wait for it, 50% year over year. 50%. Their annual active customers in the third quarter were up 23% year over year. Cancellations, failed deliveries, and returns, or CFDR, of GMV decreased by 32% to 23% in the third quarter. And lastly, the revenues actually took a pretty big hit year over year. So last year, the revenue year over year was 40.9 million euro. This year in the third quarter, it was actually 33.7 million euro. This was due to a lot of different reasons. Mainly, like we talked about, they were rebalancing the company. They were looking to diversify their products a little bit more. They were trying to move more towards third-party selling as opposed to first-party selling. So as an investor, although this could be a red flag for some, this actually doesn't bother me because I know they're rebalancing the company. And it's kind of like the situation we were talking about with Walgreens stock, where although they're taking losses in the short term, over the long term, I think it could actually help them a lot more. So this could be a make or break thing for someone, but this actually really does not bother me. And I actually was able to completely overlook this. And this actually is not one of my risks that we're going to talk about. But in saying that, we are going to get to the portion of the video where we are going to talk about what I like about the company. Then, as we said earlier, we're going to follow it up with the risks I see with this company. And obviously, you have to take the risk into consideration whenever you're making any sort of investment, because if you're not, you're just setting yourself up for failure. So to start off, some of the first things I really like about this company, first off, it's an e-commerce platform, and that's just a growing industry. I think we're going to see more and more people shopping online for everything, including clothes, groceries. Christmas shopping, I think, is all going to be done online eventually. Like, I'm going to go on a whim and say, like, 10, 20, 30 years from now, I don't think anyone's going to be going to the malls or maybe to this store or that store. I think the majority of it's going to be done all online because it's just so much easier. Honestly, if you know what you want and you can order everything online, your Christmas shopping, aside from like the wrapping and all that stuff, it can be done in like 20 minutes. I really think the e-commerce platform is going to blow up more than it has over the next 20 or 30 years. And on top of that, the global e-commerce market in 2019 was valued at over $9 trillion. Over $9 trillion. And currently it has a compound growth rate of 14.7%. That's an annual compound growth rate. So it's just going to continue to grow more and more, obviously. So if Jumia can just capture, say, 10% of that market share, this market cap could really blow up, guys. I mean, like, really blow up. Like, I don't think it's unrealistic to think you can envision maybe like $1 trillion market cap over this. I know some of you might think that's completely ridiculous, but if they can just capture 10% of the market share and they are the biggest player in Africa, they're already targeting 70% of the population of Africa, guys, this could really blow up. This could really be huge. Absolutely could. On top of that, this is a founder-led company. Like you guys know, I love founder-led companies for so many different reasons. It's like the baby, it's like the child. Whenever you find a company, it's like you want to grow that thing to the next big thing. You want to make it into the next Amazon, essentially. But it could. I really like that. I really like founder-led companies. So that was definitely a pro when I saw this company was founder-led. As we talked about, it was founded in 2012. It was founded by, I'm gonna screw these names up, Sacha Poyanek and Jeremy Hondura. I did watch a lot of interviews on them. I still can't pronounce their names. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my tongue. Like I said, I don't know nothing. All I know is Des caught it.
Review. It has been determined that the receiver did not maintain possession of the football.
Anyway, so they founded this company because they saw a growing industry in a space where there really wasn't any sort of Amazon or Alibaba and anything. So instead of being like the normal person would and just saying, well, they should really come up with something, they decided to take the initiative and they decided to attack it and decided to create an Amazon or Alibaba, or at least a form of it. On top of that, this is a big one here, and this one really struck home with me when I saw this. So the average age in Africa is 19.7 years old compared to the global average age of 30.6 years old. And you might be thinking, why is that important? Why does that even matter? What does it matter how old someone is? What does it matter? What does that mean for the market? So think of it this way. When you're younger, you can just learn to adapt and you can pick things up quicker. I actually read a study where, say, if you want to learn a language, like say you English is your primary language and you want to learn Spanish, you're actually better off doing that as soon as possible just because your brain can process it faster. So obviously, if, say, a market is going to transition to e-commerce, the younger they are, the easier it's going to be for that population to adapt to it, as opposed to, say, it was an older generation like 50s, 60s, it might not catch on as quickly. But if you go to the younger generation, those 19, 20, or even younger, like 14, 50, first of all, it's going to be around longer because that age population has more and more time left. Second of all, they aren't going to have as many responsibilities or things on their plate like bills, jobs, those things if they're younger and they're like college kids or even younger than that. So they're going to be able to adapt and spend more time learning how to operate it, which is going to be with them for the rest of their life. So obviously e-commerce is tied to internet, smartphones, phones in general, all those things. So just some numbers that I really liked that I saw attractive at first glance. So 2017 mobile broadband penetration, it was actually 32% or 399 million. So where is that projected to grow? Well, by 2022, that number is actually projected to go to 73% by 2022, or 600 million. So that's very good. There's very good growth there. I really like what I'm seeing from that. Those are great numbers. It means phones are going to get out to more and more people. But what about smartphones? So smartphone usage is actually 40% in 2017. That number is projected to go to 77% by 2022. So both more phones and more smartphones are getting put out there, more people are using them. That's good for e-commerce because obviously people are doing everything from their phones right now. Honestly, you really don't need a computer for too much these days. You can do almost everything from a phone, unless of course you work in a cubicle, then that might be tough to do without a computer. But anyway, besides the point, that's a different topic for a different video. Anyway, there's not a ton of competition. They do have some competition. Amazon does have an Egypt platform, which is one of their markets, but I'm not too overly concerned about it, mainly because obviously Amazon just focuses on the United States because that's where the majority of their business comes from. In addition, they promote on YouTube. YouTube is one of the best places to promote yourself, in my personal opinion. Other than Facebook, which I feel like is the best, and I feel like putting ads on Facebook is probably the best thing you can do for your business if you're advertising in any sort of way. I think YouTube is the best, mainly because it's the next TV. Personally, if I didn't follow sports, I don't know if I would ever watch TV, to be perfectly honest. Every now and then news, yeah, sure. But I really believe YouTube is the next TV. Plus, they've got, YouTube TV, they've got all these other things, and they just have the free YouTube platform itself. It's very good. It's a really good place to advertise. I really like how they advertise there. Additionally, like we talked about before, their annual active customers, they're growing to 6.7 million. They've seen steady growth over the past couple of years. I believe it was actually only 2 million in 2017. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe it was only 2 million active users in 2017. So they've seen great growth over that time period. In this last one we're going to talk about, this last thing I really like about this company is they're not reinventing the wheel. And what do I mean by that? So I feel like the reason a lot of startups fail is because they try to reinvent the wheel. They come up with all these great ideas, and they're actually just too much of a stretch. It's more of like a force. They're more like forced in the past. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're using a proven business model that they've seen Amazon use. They've seen Alibaba use. It's very successful. It's very good. People like it. It can be very, very successful. And they're doing it in a proven space, in a growing space, which is very important. And they're not trying to do too much. And I think that is a lot of issues I see with some business models. People try to do too much. Maybe they go left, they go right. They're just going straight. They're taking a proven business model that's worked in a growing space, and they're not reinventing the wheel. They're just running with it. Now, we've talked about some of the things I like, or we've summarized some of the things I've liked, some of the key points behind Jumia and why I think this company could definitely do well. Now we're gonna get into some of the risks I see with this company. And guys, there's a lot, believe me. I'm gonna go over a bunch right here. I could probably give you about 10 more, but I'm only gonna give you these because I'm gonna go over the really, really big ones that really stood out to me, okay? So first off, Jumia is an ADR, which is a huge, huge risk. Automatically, when I saw that, immediately, I really did not have any interest in investing in this company. Basically, for those of you that don't know, an ADR is an American Depository Receipt. And basically, to simplify what that means, it means that there's an arrangement in place for investors to invest in companies like these, buy shares of a stock that operates overseas. In the end game, it really just saves the hassle of purchasing shares in foreign currency and a bunch of legal parameters that come with it that we're really not going to talk about because I don't want to bore you guys to death. So a company like Alibaba, that's also an ADR. There's a lot of risk that comes with ADRs, a lot of risk. You basically don't have any rights to summarize, and at any time this receipt can be terminated, and it's just a big mess. I might do another video on ADRs, but we're not going to talk about that in this video because it could honestly be like a 50-hour long video if I went into the different types of ADRs, how they work, what you do when the receipt's terminated, all these different things. It could just be really long. So we'll talk about it in a different video sometime probably. But just because it's an ADR, automatically I really don't have any interest in taking that risk at this point in time. That's just me personally, but I also saw a lot of other risks in this company. I also feel like this stock has run a lot because of the younger generation. Obviously this year, more and more people have gotten into the stock market in the past, mainly because there's just not a lot to do. It's just a fact. I mean, there's no sports. Everything's closed for the most part. There's just not a ton to do. So they're like, what's open? Oh, the stock market's open. That's going to operate regardless of what happens, right? So I think a lot of people got into the stock market and they're like, oh, look at Amazon stock. That's doing so great. It's just going up and up. They're doing great sales, great revenues. It's just fantastic. They're projected to grow their sales even better. All these different things. So they're like, but Amazon stock's too expensive. Then they see Jumia and they're like, oh my God, what's this? And they read like the little blurb on Yahoo Finance and they're like, Jumia's basically the next Amazon. It's the Amazon of Africa. So I feel like a lot of younger people were buying into this stock and I feel like that's why it's run so much. But it was mainly a lot of like gambling and YOLO buying. They weren't actually reading the 10Ks or the 10Qs or listening to conference calls or all these things I talk about in my videos. So I feel like that's kind of the reason it's run so much per se. But in addition to that, something that I do know for a fact, and something you can find out if you do your own research, is the fundamentals differ from Amazon slightly, okay? And slightly, that doesn't make me feel very positive about it. So basically when Bezos first started focusing on Amazon, he was doing obviously not the online e-commerce stuff per se. He was doing more of an online bookseller thing, but he was focusing more so on the market share, okay? And basically what I mean was he put every single dollar that they were making back into the business. He was focusing on growing the brand. He was focused on attracting more people, getting the name out to more people, and then just focusing on profitability later. And it would just come over time, which I really like, because I think if you have a great idea, if you have a passion, just focus on the passion and the money's gonna come in over time. Which clearly, if you know how Jeff Bezos is doing right now, net worth-wise, actually he's the second richest person in the world now.
Shout out to Elon.
But he's doing pretty well per se, and you could say his strategy worked, okay? Jumia's actually doing the opposite. They're focusing on profitability. They're doing everything in their power to get to profitability. Then they're gonna focus on the market share and getting more and more people in later on, which I really, really don't like, believe it or not. The main reason they're doing this is because they think it's gonna attract more investors to their platform, and it's gonna be viewed as a proven platform and a platform that can continue to grow over time. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm a little sketched out about that per se. I kind of like Bezos' model a little bit better. Obviously, that's easy to say because his models worked, but that's just my personal opinion. Also, in the process of doing this, they did cut their sales and advertising costs by 55%. That is a lot, guys. If you're a growing company, I personally think, in my personal opinion, and make sure you're doing your own research, this is just me, but I would much rather see a company putting all that money back into the business, growing and growing and growing that brand, getting out to as many people as possible, and then focusing on profitability later, once you already have the audience built. Because regardless of what business you run, whether it's a YouTube, social media, Amazon, Apple, you're nothing without the people. If you're a full-time YouTuber and no one's watching your videos, you're not gonna make any money. If you are the CEO of Apple and no one's buying iPhones, that company is really not gonna make any money. You're nothing without the people, you're nothing without the consumers. And I really don't like how they're focusing on profitability in the short term and then the longer term bring in the customers. I really feel like it should be flipped. That's just my personal opinion. And I really just agree with the management team on this one. I disagree with the management team on this one. And that's the bottom line. And that's the one thing you really should not invest or get out of a stock if you really have a strong disagreement with the management team. Me personally, I just don't think you should get in the stock and treat it as an investment in that case. And that's part of the reason. We've got a lot more risks we're gonna talk about, but those are some of the big risks that I see with this. Speaking of greater concerns, we're gonna talk about those right now. So in the United States, we're a little bit spoiled here, and I feel like e-commerce was set up for success in the United States, absolutely. But I don't know if it's set up for success the same way in Africa. Are African markets going to adapt to e-commerce the same exact way the United States did? Are they? And you might be thinking, well, why wouldn't they? But it's very different over there. It's not the same in the United States. And we're going to talk about that and what maybe could happen here if it's not adapted the same way, some of the issues and concerns that might come with it. So areas in Africa, they're underdeveloped. They are not as developed as they are here in the United States. A lot of things are different, a lot. Look it up, do some Google searches, do your own research, but a lot of things are different. The United States is not the same as Africa. Civilization-wise, everything is a little bit different. So what does that mean if they're underdeveloped? That means there's limited growth. So their growth might be capped a lot smaller or a lot shorter than in the United States. In addition to that, citizens in Africa, they are illiterate, a lot of them. And I'm not trying to say this in the worst way. I'm trying to say this as politically correct as possibly can. I promise anyone watching this video, I'm sorry if anyone takes this the wrong way. I am trying to word this as politically correct as I can. I actually got this information from the 10K. I'm just reiterating it. Go read the 10K yourself. I promise you it's in there. Anyway, but some citizens in Africa might be illiterate. So why does that propose a problem? Well, we're going to get into that in a second. But also, Africa's not the wealthiest country. If you look, I believe it's ranked somewhere around just outside the top 100 wealthiest countries as opposed to the United States, which is more towards the top, obviously. But it could definitely provide a problem in the e-commerce space. In addition to that, their customer service, the majority of it is online. So now you're probably a little confused, like, why are you throwing these random facts at me, but you're not making any sense? Well, we have an e-commerce space in Africa, right? Africa's not the wealthiest, so what if people can't really afford to buy products from an e-commerce space? What if they can't afford to pay that? That's first. Second of all, where does e-commerce operate most of the time? Smartphones, internet, computers. What if people can't afford smartphones, internets, computers? What if they can't afford those things? That's a legit risk. It just means that it could be capped. Like the limited growth, the sales could be capped a lot sooner than the United States. In addition to that, if people can't afford it, either what if they are putting themselves in a really, really bad financial position by having a smartphone or a computer or the internet? What if they are, then they don't have any money to buy products from the e-commerce space, to buy products from Jumia? Then on top of that, if people can't afford it, what if they are illiterate and they can't read and write? How are they going to order? How are they going to talk to customer service? Because customer service is all online. These are struggles that could definitely come, and I could definitely see coming from this company. If I were this company and I knew a big part of my audience was illiterate, I would make sure I had some sort of phone service set up. And it does not seem like this management team has this phone service set up nearly as much as their online customer service. Now, a couple more concerns I have here. So the majority of Jumia's customers pay in cash, and the majority of them don't have bank accounts, okay? Very important. That was one of the biggest red flags I saw immediately right off the bat when I started reading this 10K. 95% paying cash, and the majority, I don't understand why there wasn't any sort of percentage in there. That also scares me a little bit. There was a lot of information in this 10K. I felt like that was left out, but hey, that happens with ADR, guys. It's a risk. It's a very big risk. But anyway, 95% of Kenya paid in cash in 2016. There was also, of that 95% of that money they generated in 2016, there was 720,000 euro or 875,000 US dollars missing, 875,000 US dollars, excuse me, that was missing in 2018, all right? That's a risk right there. Why is that money missing? Granted, obviously they have updated their different money process since then, so it could be a little bit different going forward, but still is a risk I have. I've seen it. I really don't want to see that again. There's better places that I can park my money if that's the case. So that's how this company's going to operate. In addition to that, what happens if employees steal products or cash? I mean, if it's an area where it's not the wealthiest, maybe you don't live in the best area, the bottom line is if you need the money, you can just take it and nobody sees anything, nobody knows nothing. It's probably going to be hard to track you down. That's the bottom line. In addition, in Africa, crime rates are actually pretty high and they're actually growing, and it really affects their business and it puts them at risk of things being stolen. So for example, in 2018 in Kenya, they actually had over 606,000 United States dollars stolen from one of their warehouses. So what if that continues to happen? What if products keep getting stolen? What if money and products keep getting stolen? What if this affects their business like dramatically? What if they can't operate there anymore? It could be a big mess. Now, in addition, there's also a lot of fears of terrorists ever since I'm going to screw this name up again, the Boko Haram terrorist attack. Ever since that happened, there's been great fears of terrorists, and there's been more terrorist attacks, and it's honestly been like a big mess over there. Obviously, anyone's watching this video over there, I really hope for the best for you, to be perfectly honest with you. I really hope everything works out, and I hope you're safe. But there are some great fears, and I have fears as an investor as well, because this could definitely affect their business. Now, in addition, because of these terrorist fears and these terrorist attacks, some banks are only open, wait for it, 3 hours a day, right? Imagine having a bank open 3 hours a day. That could be a mess, okay? So if you can only pay in cash, what you probably need to do, you need to go to the bank. Sometimes, if you have a bank account and you're paying in cash, you might have to go to the bank. You can't go to the bank, then what are you gonna do? How are you gonna pay for it if you can't get to the bank when they're only open 3 hours a day? Now, granted, a lot of their customers don't have bank accounts, so maybe that's not the biggest risk, but still, it's something to take into consideration. Anyway, guys, final thoughts to wrap up this video. Like, do I think you're crazy if you're buying this stock? If you invested in this stock, do I think you're crazy? Absolutely not, because we have some great upside we talked about in this video. Could this become the Amazon of Africa? Absolutely could, but I think there's more risk to take into consideration than what some people are making it out to be. Some of those younger investors, I think, are jumping in this because they didn't get into Amazon at $50, so they're like, let me get in Jumia at $2 or $8 or $40 and just ride it all the way up to what Amazon's at, those levels, those $3,000 levels. But is it gonna get there? I don't know. Personally, I view it as more of a spec play, so if I were someone who was investing in this company, I probably wouldn't make it more than 2.5 or 3% of my portfolio, and I would be completely okay with losing it all. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you got some value out of this, if this helped you make an investment decision after you did your own research, of course, make sure to drop a like on the video, because that really does help out the channel in a massive way. Also, remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. Let me know down in the comments, 1, what you're thinking of Jumia stock, if you're buying it, where you think it could go, if it really is the Amazon of Africa, if it's going to get to those levels, and 2, what stock analysis videos you want to see me do next, what you want to see me do next week. I'll always look into everything you guys want. Make sure you let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys, and until next time, guys, have a great weekend.